Hello, we're here with Robert today. Robert is a human rights activist from Uganda who stands as an advocate for underserved minorities, especially the sexual minorities, because he believes that inequalities and stigmatization for certain groups of people in the society stem from lack of knowledge and education. That's why he uses his skills and passion for storytelling and his talent of art and creation to influence positive change in the community. His specific work of activism is around supporting MSM and WSW through counseling and guidance, while working with drop-in centers to encourage them to use the available HIV/AIDS services like PEP, PrEP, and ARPs, intervening in emergency situations such as delivering PEP and PrEPs to sexual and gender minorities affected by HIV. We will preserve his identity for safety reasons. You will understand more about the reason behind that in just a couple of minutes. Thank you so much, Robert, for being here.
Thanks, Pres, and thanks meeting you.
Thank you. So I want to start by asking you, you're leading an organization supporting women and trans people. And I want to ask you about your safety and protection. How safe and protected do you feel by the police in your community, for yourself and your organization?
Well, I will state that I personally, and then on the behalf of my community, don't feel protected by the police. As you know, the queer community is the most stigmatized community in Uganda, and I should say in some other parts of the world. And of course, like in Uganda currently, uh, we are being investigated, we are targeted, we are criminalized, and then punished, like for instance, under Penal Code Act 140, 141, and 143. As you well know, same-sex relationships in Uganda remain criminalized. And then this is where we fall, just because uh, we are, our identity is presumed, our presumed identity, sexuality is wrongly presumed, and that's where we are being targeted by police. Then, when I say I'm protected, of course, no, I don't see anything like police protecting the queer community and protecting me personally. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
Or maybe.
yeah.
And I should also talk about the failure of the police, investigating the break-ins into offices of the non-government organizations. Because after all, should I say they lack knowledge about it, or what? Or maybe they just don't care because they were told that community is evil, or that community we are like on a wall. You are told the enemy is there, so we just have to face the enemy. So I think we are just the enemy. They don't want to investigate anything or correct anything. We are just targets of the police and the law. That's all what I can state about this. I don't feel protected at all.
Yeah. So you're saying that the queer community in Uganda is targeted. You will talk about this bill that has just been approved a couple of months ago in a minute, but I want to ask you about that. But first, in opposition to that first question, like, who do you think the police is looking after? Like, I know that you said you're part of a society that is not recognizing queer people as part of the society, and therefore they're not protecting you. So who do you think, or what, it can be people, it can be values. Who are the police looking after? Who do they care for? What do you think, in your opinion?
In my opinion, I feel they just don't know whom they are protecting. Or should I say, because if I'm human and I've never been in open air telling about my sexuality, orientation, identities, then why should you just follow me up because you heard somebody tells you I could be this and that? Actually, why should we even discuss my sexuality? Well, then I just see police loses it, doesn't know whom they are protecting. but because they are told I might be someone of this caliber or this sexuality, then identity, behavior, sexual behavior. So they follow me up. But to them, they feel uh, everyone should be someone should be understanding their own way. Like if you have to go for so and so, someone should believe that's the person you should be going for. Where they just don't understand what I feel in me, and they don't want to recognize who I am. And I just don't know whom they are protecting. Or can I say they are protecting the disabled? Or you know, uh, I actually can't tell whom they are protecting, but they just don't want to protect mankind, and they don't want to recognize that we all belong to the community. Instead, they target a particular community of whom they are not well aware of. They lack knowledge actually, and I feel they should be taught first about different identities and some other things of the kind. So maybe they can have to recognize that and do what they have to do.
I love how you frame it as, because I just said that when I presented you. You have this way of being an activist, thinking that stigmatization and this way of creating a common enemy out of the queer community is just lack of education and understanding and knowledge, and that's a very optimist way to say it, and I value that. I like that, and I appreciate all the effort you're doing and as an activist in general. So now I want to ask you, so you can tell us a bit about that bill. What I know that the landscape wasn't perfect before the bill. It's not that you were feeling safe before the bill, but I want to ask you about what is that bill, what happened, and how's the political situation in general in Uganda around LGBTQI plus rights?
Well, this whole story starts on 21st of March 2023 as the Ugandan Parliament passed a legislation that further criminalizes the LGBT community. I mean, the identities, behavior of lesbian, gay, transgender. Well, so after all this, it was taken to Parliament by one Basaliwa, where member of Parliament, uh, of course, many of the legislators were in support of the motion. I mean, it all went to the president. Well, after reaching to the president had to send it back again to Parliament. Well, for some kind of revisal. After there, he finally uh, ascended to the law. But then, whom do they target? To them, they believe in they are protecting family, you know, and cultural, marriages in Uganda, in the community. Yeah. But then, despite the bill receiving anonymous legislative support, uh, like I said, it went back to Parliament, then President finally used it. It was all about pressure from legislators, the community members. Should I call them just community members or homophobic community members? The homophobic community members. Uh, then, to them, as I see this, the bill itself violates the multiple fundamental rights guaranteed under Uganda's constitution and breaks commitments made by the government as signatory to a number of international human rights agreements. Because now, why should you feel someone should exist, someone shouldn't? But we are all humans. We are not like the way we are, like we copy the behavior, we are naturally who we are. And that's it. We don't know how to change that. We actually don't know what to do about it because I feel I am the one, like, I'm okay with it. Then someone comes in to challenge me. I shouldn't be the way I feel I am, or I shouldn't be the one I am. I don't know how easy it can be to change that. Well, like the president's signing of the homosexuality bill, the serious bill to multiple fundamental rights, including the rights of freedom, expression, association, privacy, equality. Like, like if I may say, why should you, why should you subject me to annual examinations? That's actually privacy.
It's inhuman.
Privacy. It's inhuman.
And
Like,
yeah, keep going, please.
like you've heard about this bill before. We are now learning to live, just learning to live with it, with tips, where from anonymous social groups, and from other groups of people. But we just feel tormented, we just feel uncomfortable, we feel excluded, we feel not belonging to the community anymore. We just live like you don't know tomorrow what will happen. That's how the bill is treating the community, specifically the queer community. To the general community, they just feel it's okay. Like they get you, they harm you. Yes, they get you. To them, they suspect you. They tell the police, and the police will not do anything but handling you and then taking you for annual examinations and some other inhuman treatments.
Yeah, it's well, devastating. It's the word that I can think right now. But how I want to ask you, how are you coping with that, like internally, emotionally, but also I don't want you to tell us things that you don't want the police to know on the authorities, but do you have any certain, I mean, you mentioned anonymity. I know that these laws, what they do is just make queer community live clandestine lives, you know, invisible lives, but they're still there. Of course, we are still here. Everyone is still there. So do you have any safety practices besides, you know, besides anonymity, that you do to, you know, care for your community, your organization? Yeah.
Well, like personally, I understand how dangerous being an advocate, an activist in such a community it is. Like, for instance, to me residing in Uganda, I understand how risky it is. But then, remember, like I've told you, uh, the law states that anyone advocating for the rights, you know, including representative of human rights organizations or any other one providing financial, yes, financial assistance or support. Like for instance, if you like, you have to give me support, then you are wrong. You are wrong. You don't have to. That's according to the law. Mm. And then you could face 20 years in prison uh, or death. But then I personally sometimes feel I should give up and then look up to you people who are away in safe countries where laws or where rights are protected. Well, but then I remember this is total betrayal. Why should I leave my people behind? We are the way we are. We are not faking this. We are who we are, and we believe that's what we are. Then how do I live this? Maybe to say I should be something else. How? That's impossible. So I just take heart, but focus on some safety tips. Uh, there I look at not revealing sexual identities, and any other related stuff in open space. That's one of the tips I try to give out to my community. Then, like for instance, we were having social handles where we would share everything openly. So I tell them, go and clear those uh, footsteps, like you left the prints you left on, like, let's say Facebook. I want to clear that. Like, for instance, I was using my full names and locations and everything. Go back and change that. Let no one identify who you are, your location. I just feel that's one of the tips. And yes, they are working. I will not say we have other uh, tips that maybe, and of course, I wouldn't love to disclose everything. Yeah, but of course, privacy is the most important.
Yeah,
Yes.
in absolute sense. Absolutely. Yeah. Sure. So I have one final question for you, and this is where we open our minds to imagination, you know. Do you think there's a future with no police, no authorities, no surveillance in that sense? And how would that look like? I mean, we have this conversation, we had it with different activists from different parts of the world, and some of them, you know, said like, no, there's no, I mean, there's no possibility that police wouldn't exist, and some of them were like, yeah, we should abolish, you know, police and the justice system in general. So what do you think we should do? You know, we should train them, we should, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, currently, I don't see anything to thank the police about. I'm sorry, but that's it. First of all, we have not been colleagues with them as a community. Well, they have not protected victims or from arrests, well, intimidation, and mob justice. Instead, we are targets of abuse and arrests. Then examinations, like I said before, of course, they subject you to that. So embarrassing. So currently, at the moment, I personally see no use. We can live with it and do where, or maybe if that can't be, let them be trained. I don't personally feel they, like, on a monthly basis, go through these human rights trainings and educations. I don't personally think so. And that's why you'll find them, they have no idea about identities or any other thing, including human rights in general. Well, to them, they feel you should look or behave the way they personally feel, not looking at the human rights concept as a whole. They just want to treat you the way they feel they should. So personally, yeah, I see a future without police, because now, if they can't do all this that is required of them, do we still need them? I personally say no. There is no much importance of them. And yes, there is a future without them.
Thank you so much, Robert, for all these inputs and insights and opinions. And I really appreciate you as a person and for everything you're doing and for being here. And yeah, thank you so much. We'll see you soon.
Thank you.